What differentiates Cannondale bicycles from the rest is that we focus mainly on the upper end market in the bicycle market, anywhere up from $4,000 to $5,000 retail. My name is Andy Schiffer, and I'm the product demonstration manager here at Cannondale Bicycle Corporation. The material that we use comes in very long lengths that will actually slice up into smaller pieces. So as you can see, we have many different shapes here, and those are used on the bikes at a later point. There are lots of different machines that handle the material prior to the bike taking form. Some of which would be CNC machines, where they would cut away material to give you some sort of shape. So this is our plan right here. This is the chunk of aluminum that we're going to feed into the CNC machine over there. And this is our end result. This is the final part. The tubing is joined in what we call a tab and slot type format, where there's a slot on one tube and a tab on the other, and where they come together as part of the design. So to create those tabs and slots, we run them through a process either by cutting with plasma or cutting with a laser to create the holes and little channels that those tabs and slots fit into. Once the tubes are fitted to each other with the tab and slot process, they are then tack welded together, which gives the bike its kind of general shape. And it allows it to be in a state to where it can be handled as one unit. Once the frame is tacked together, it goes into the welding department, where we have a large, very skilled team of welders who basically put the love into the bike. That's where the bike essentially takes on its personality. Those bikes will then go into the sanding department. If there are any imperfections in the weld, stress will accumulate in that location, thus creating a weak spot. So that sanding process ensures that there's a nice smooth transition between the tubes where the weld is concerned. They are then run through a heat treating process, after which they go through an alignment check that makes sure that the bikes are in good general alignment. They then go over to bike machining, which is where that process is furthered by using machine tools to dress the appropriate surfaces so as the dropouts are square, the head tube is square. Any other machined surface is then created in that process. The frame is then almost ready for paint, at which time it goes through a series of baths that remove any oils or any other materials that are going to be on the frame that would make the paint not adhere. We have a few different paint booths that it'll go through systematically. The bikes then go into an oven where they are cured. After the oven, they go into the decal room, where we have a team of people who apply all of the decals that go onto the bikes. The bikes will then go back into the paint room, where they'll get a coat of clear coat over top of the decals to protect them. And then they are pretty much ready to go into the assembly room. Okay, so we're here at the wheel room. This is where we're going to create a complete wheel out of a series of components, namely the hub, spokes, and also the rim. This is where we're actually going to build a complete wheel. Starting with the hub, the spokes are then dropped into the holes in the hub by hand. That next machine will then feed the spoke nipple onto the spoke as it's inserted into the machine, where it would otherwise take somebody by hand maybe a couple of hours to do the same job that the machine would do in a couple of minutes. This is the wheel stabilizer, and what it does is it actually puts a little bit of pressure against the spokes and allows these little spoke nipples to seat into the rim correctly. And once it does that for all of the spokes, it'll feed it down to the next machine. So this is the wheel truing machine right here. And what it's going to do, it's going to put about a 95% wheel true on this wheel. And it's doing so by using the little computer eye down there, and it's going to actually see how far the wheel is out of true. And the little hands down inside will then go in and tighten or loosen the little spoke heads, respectively, to bring the wheel into a straight format. The closer that the dot is to the center of that target, the more true the wheel becomes. After the wheel leaves that machine, it'll go through an actual check by a person to ensure that that wheel is correct. Right before the assembly line is a pre-assembly location where swing arms are attached, and any other hardware such as shock absorbers for some of the full suspension mountain bikes that we have are put on at this point. Here's where all of the components for the handlebar assemblies are made up. All the shifters and grips and cables all come together in assembly, which will go over to the production line to be married up with the appropriate bike. That assembly is then hung on an arbor, which allows that bike to travel down the line, and respective employees mount different parts as it proceeds down the assembly line. The first station might be inserting all the little nuts and bolts and hardware. The derailleurs are then put on and the cranks are put on.
Okay, Katie, that one's yours.
The chain is then fed through. Any other small components are installed on the bike, and then it's pretty much ready to go into the box at that point. The wheels are also inserted into the box. A owner's manual and any other hardware to help the assembler at the retail store assemble the bike is then put into the box. It's then glued shut, and it's put on a conveyor belt, and it heads down to the warehouse where it's shipped out. Cannondale produces anywhere between 400 and 500 bicycles per day here at the factory in Bedford, Pennsylvania.